Good evening. It's 4 minutes before 7 p.m. on August 29, 2021. I'm going to make a quick notation. There's an article right now online that I just found that says that Spirit Airlines accused two ex-employees of conspiring with a supplier that claims hugely inflated prices and gave kickbacks to the workers. I'm going to say I've been having this problem for a while where what is supposed to be criminal racketeering charges, including in connection with a very comprehensive organized crime syndicate that is operating at some of the highest levels of public office, as well as involved with massive acts of money laundering, including in connection with acts of domestic and international terrorism, has been thus far operating with impunity, while very specific references to what were the original charges get relegated into some sort of public notice concerning something that is akin to a workers' rights claim, right? Part of that consolidation that has been happening as part of changes to the Federal Reserve policy on one level, that is itself a follow-up to processes concerning risk leveraging when it comes to a variety of different changes that previously happened in regards to Federal Reserve policy. You know that leveraging upstream liability with downstream risk in order to be capital neutral. And so we have things related to alleged workers' compensation and or workers' rights, as well as, in this case, ex-employees conspiring as part of a kickback scheme instead of actually getting to the operationalization of the criminal conspiracy and holding people accountable that actually need to be held accountable. Now, I've just finished doing what I'm going to be doing in order to move forward with that on another level, but I want to make a notation here, put it on the record, about today is the 29th, which means that 3 years ago, 5 years ago, on August 26, 2016, I was in a situation where I was attempting to acquire a replacement passport after mine had been stolen in what I understood to be an act of retaliation pending or following an illegal eviction. I had been requested to provide some sort of support, what you might call work as a domestic worker, for somebody who lived in a rather historic part of Chicago. At a certain point, there were actions that were engaged that I understood she intended to use my time there to set up some sort of illegal process. And when I attempted to hold her accountable by providing her with evidence of what would be considered legally compliant in consideration of what she had originally discussed with me, the terms of our arrangement were, she stole my passport. That's my contention. I had to file a police report, and not only did I file a police report, I went to try to get a replacement passport. And at the time, I was attempting to acquire a position in another country to work with them through a particular legal process. A number of things had been commenced in that regard, but I had to get a replacement passport. I'd also already purchased a ticket in order to leave. And in order to purchase the ticket, which I purchased through Spirit Airlines, there was a club fee. You had to join a club, and when you joined the club, then they processed you in order to be able to get access to certain aspects of the rate fee and other insurance structures associated with the air transit. So I paid the fee. At the time, the fee was $19. I charged, put it on my card. I got some sort of notification that I needed to resubmitted, paid for the ticket. I got a receipt. It had one particular amount on it. When I went down to pay for my passport, I was told I didn't have enough money. So at that time, I had to go on site to a Chase Bank location in downtown Chicago. Chase Bank was the issuer of the credit card that I used in order to purchase the ticket. And I had to argue, or rather discuss matters with people on site. There were at least 3 people on site at Chase Bank that witnessed it in person at various times, including me having to call a specific other off-site location in order to discuss with them the matters. And I said on the phone, I said, please, are you recording this call? And they said they were. I said, this is an act of securities fraud in course right now. Somebody is using my effort to purchase a replacement passport at the office in downtown to do some other illegal transaction. So after talking about this, They said at the time, okay, they would retract the charges in order to make sure that the money was available in my account. But it was going to take a few days in order to post, which meant I could not. And besides, the passport office had already closed. I couldn't purchase my passport that day. By the time I waited out the period for them to clear it and for the passport office to be open, well, all of a sudden things had changed, right? There was an escalation. I ended up not being able to get a replacement passport. And things, well, changed very dramatically after that. I was not able to make my plane. I was not able to do what I was going to do. And not only that, that specific credit card, I had to appeal when they tried to assess a late fee in connection with the overcharge and with other activities that had been happening that were illegal. At that point in time, I was able to successfully discuss with them how it was fraud, and they retracted the charges. But what happened is somehow 2 months later, all of a sudden, that charge appeared again. And so by March of 2017, I had to contact the credit bureaus and log an appeal, requesting they consider that an act of fraud. Now, around the time I contacted them, formally, those credit bureaus, I was kidnapped for 10 days. But shortly after my 10-day kidnapping, or after the 10-day period during which I was kidnapped, both credit bureaus completely removed all information about that credit card from my credit report. Not only did they take off any sort of appearance that there was a negative to my credit, but there's no record at all, or at least there hasn't been since the last time I was able to access a credit report in August of 2019. There's no record I even had that credit card, much less that there was an overcharge. The day that I sent the information in order to challenge that credit demerit, there was reported to be a specific transactional sequence that happened in connection with a municipal bond issue for the city of Houston. I did not find out about this until several months later. But that was part of what I was tracking in the course of discussing how there were acts of large-scale securities fraud, including in connection with the theft of people's identity. Now, this goes all the way back to my formal effort in July of 2016 to provide information as evidence to what I was told was the fraud review unit of Bank of America after my attempt to open up a bank account in good faith was used to finance an act of terrorism in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Not only that, but shortly thereafter, it was also used in connection with acts of terrorism that occurred in Dallas. See, I understand the lone wolf assassin or the lone wolf shooter who shot those Dallas police officers under some alleged mental health crisis was actually a predetermined, pre-orchestrated option for an act of domestic terrorism that was known about in advance, and it was called. And they used that account in order to set it up and to execute it. To this time, I've heard nothing back from Bank of America, despite the fact that right now I'm in Dallas, Texas, arriving on the day that a more than $300 million municipal bond was issued through Bank of America. Nobody's seen fit in all this time to get back to me. Let me ask you, what kind of ex-employees are you talking about? Are you talking about ex-employees of the American people in the form of presidents of the United States? Because that's how high this goes. As I said earlier, I am revising my petition for a writ of habeas corpus and the attendant criminal charges. We're no longer talking about 2 kingpins. We are talking about 5 in 6 positions, just in the last 12 years. This is absolutely 100% directly connected to the timelines that somebody could have used as part of a hedging strategy for their own personal, political, and economic priorities, rather than busting crime as crime. But at the same time, it does confirm that there is absolutely a direct connection. I will disclose, and I have disclosed before, that when I submitted a request for new trial in the city of Dallas to the Northern District of Texas U.S. District Court, that in the course of submitting information about my financial status in order to request a waiver of filing fees, which was granted, that I put in there specific information about what I anticipated as being a possible increase in income associated with accounts in my name. At the time, I identified it as 1.9%. This was in October this was in September of 2019. It seems to be holding fast until now. Today would be exactly 13 days, which means 1 day before the 14-day appeal period expires on an alleged judgment and order issued here in the Northern District of Texas, U.S. District Court, by a judge who did not respond until August 16th of 2021. I contend this absolutely 100% substantiates and justifies my charges, and I will be moving forward